They say the Ravencroft ring burns mortal flesh on contact. 300 years of legend, 300 years of fear whispered in the shadows of Manhattan's forgotten districts. They say it protects the bloodline. They say it knows. They were wrong. 3 in the morning, December 15th. The kind of cold that doesn't just chill the skin, it burrows into bone, into memory. The thermometer outside the clinic window read -12 Celsius, but the wind made it feel like the depths of hell had frozen over. My hands were cracked and bleeding. 11 hours, 11 straight hours of emergency surgery with equipment that belonged in a museum and supplies I had to beg for. I was 42 years old, too old to be standing on my feet this long, too tired to care. When I touched the platinum ring on the boy's finger, it flared blue-white. The color of lightning trapped in ice, the color of something ancient waking up. It should have burned through my palm, should have left me screaming, but my skin remained whole, unmarked. The metal was warm, almost gentle. That was the night I broke 3 centuries of vampire law without knowing it. The night I declared war on forces I couldn't comprehend. The night everything I thought I knew about honor and duty got rewritten in blood and snow. My name is Dr. Meredith Ashcroft. This is what happened when I refused to let a child die in the dark. The Manhattan Free Clinic occupied the basement of a building that should have been condemned in the 90s. Water stains bloomed across the ceiling tiles like rust-colored flowers. The fluorescent lights flickered with epileptic urgency, throwing shadows that danced and died with mechanical rhythm. The waiting room chairs were held together with duct tape and prayers. The examination tables had seen better decades. I loved it. Not because it was beautiful. It wasn't. Not because it paid well. It didn't pay at all. I loved it because here, in this basement that smelled of disinfectant and desperation, people didn't ask questions. They didn't demand credentials or insurance cards or proof of citizenship. They just bled. And I stopped the bleeding. It was simple. Pure. The kind of medicine they taught me in Fallujah when the world was on fire, and all that mattered was keeping the soldier in front of you alive for 1 more minute. The debt collectors didn't understand. $380,000 in medical bills from my husband's final year. Stage 4 cancer complicated by PTSD from 2 tours he never talked about. The bank was going to take the house in 30 days. My car had died 3 months ago. I walk to work now. 4 miles each way through streets that got darker and more dangerous with every block. I didn't care. The walking gave me time to think. Time to remember what it felt like to have a purpose beyond paying bills and watching the mailbox fill with red-stamped envelopes. Tonight's shift had been brutal. A stabbing victim at 9, gunshot wound at 10:30, drug overdose at midnight. A woman who'd been beaten so badly I had to wire her jaw shut with equipment I'd sterilized in a pressure cooker because the autoclave was broken. Again. I'd worked alone. The volunteer nurses had stopped coming after the neighborhood got too rough. I didn't blame them. I'd seen tougher neighborhoods, Fallujah, Ramadi, places where the buildings exploded without warning and the sand turned red. This was nothing. I was washing blood off my hands for the 4th time that night when the power flickered. Once. Twice. The backup generator kicked in with a cough that sounded terminal. I needed to check that. Tomorrow. Add it to the list of things that were breaking faster than I could fix them. The clock on the wall ticked past 2:30. My shift had officially ended at midnight. There was no one to relieve me. There never was. I dried my hands on a towel that had been white once, pulled on my coat. Goodwill special, $15. The zipper was broken, but the wool was thick. That was all that mattered. The streets were empty. The blizzard had started around 10 and hadn't let up. Snow fell in thick curtains that erased the world beyond 10 feet. My boots crunched through fresh powder. 6 inches, maybe 8. The plows had given up on this neighborhood hours ago. They always did. The city budget didn't extend this far south. We were on our own. the way it had always been. I walked with my head down against the wind, hands jammed in pockets, breath coming out in white clouds that the dark swallowed immediately. 4 miles, an hour and change in good weather, maybe 2 hours tonight. I'd walked farther, carrying wounded, under fire. This was a stroll. 3 blocks from the clinic I saw it. At first glance, just another pile of trash beside the dumpster behind the old bakery. This neighborhood was full of them, discarded lives, discarded people. The city's forgotten. I would have walked past, should have walked past, but something made me stop. The pile moved, not the wind, not a rat. A shudder, small, human. I was kneeling in the slush before I made the conscious decision to move. Training, muscle memory, see the casualty, assess the threat, render aid. The rest was just noise. The boy couldn't have been more than 8. He was curled on his side in the fetal position, wearing clothes that didn't belong in this neighborhood. Velvet coat, custom tailored. The kind of thing you saw on Upper East Side, children being walked to private school by nannies who earned more than I did. The fabric was shredded, torn by something with claws. The white silk shirt underneath was stained with mud and something darker. The pants were soaked through. His skin was the color of skimmed milk. Lips blue-purple, not the blue of cold, the blue of oxygen deprivation, cyanosis. His chest was moving, barely, shallow breaths. Maybe 10 per minute, should have been 20, should have been 30 if he was in distress. He was dying. I pressed 2 fingers to his neck, pulse weak, thready, racing at maybe 140. His skin was burning hot under the ice that had formed on his hair and lashes. Fever, high, dangerously high. But his extremities were freezing. The body was shutting down, shunting blood to the core, trying to protect the vital organs, failing. His eyes snapped open. Violet, not brown, not blue, violet. Like nothing I'd ever seen outside of contact lenses. But these weren't contacts. The color went too deep, swirled too strangely, like storm clouds lit from within. He stared at me, through me, not seeing, lost in whatever hell was burning through his nervous system. His hand shot out, grabbed my wrist with strength that shouldn't have been possible. His fingers were ice. His grip was iron. The ring on his finger pressed against my skin. Platinum, heavy, ornate. Engraved with symbols I didn't recognize. Old, very old. It flared. Blue-white light. Sudden, blinding. Like someone had set off a magnesium flare 6 inches from my face. I should have pulled away, should have jerked back. But I was frozen, watching, waiting for the pain. The ring was warm, not hot, not burning, just warm. Like bathwater, like sunlight. The light faded, the metal settled. My skin was whole, unburned. The boy's grip loosened. His eyes rolled back. The seizure started. I'd seen seizures, dozens, hundreds, grand mal, petite mal, febrile, toxic. This was different. His back arched, muscles locked. But underneath the convulsion, something else was happening. His fingernails were growing, extending, sharpening into points that looked more like claws than keratin. His canines elongated, just a fraction, just enough to see. Then it stopped. The nails retracted. The teeth returned to normal. The boy went limp. I had maybe 20 minutes before the next seizure. Maybe less before his heart gave out. I didn't know what he was, didn't care. He was 8 years old and dying in the snow. That was all that mattered. I got my arms under him, lifted. He weighed nothing, hollow-boned, like a bird. I'd carried grown men across the desert. This child was lighter than my medical bag. I held him against my chest, turned back toward the clinic, started running. The snow was coming down harder. The wind had teeth. I couldn't see more than 5 feet ahead. Didn't matter. I knew these streets. Knew every crack in the sidewalk, every broken street light, every place where the curb had crumbled into the gutter. I ran. The boy's head lolled against my shoulder. His breathing was getting shallower, 10 breaths per minute. 8. 6. The clinic door was locked. I'd locked it. Force of habit. I fumbled for the key with one hand while holding the boy with the other, dropped the keys, swore, picked them up, got the door open, kicked it shut behind me. The warmth of the basement hit me like a wall. Not warm, just less cold. The thermostat was set to 60 to save money. It felt like a furnace. I laid the boy on the examination table, ripped open my supplies cabinet, IV kit, saline, atropine, epinephrine, activated charcoal. I was working on autopilot, poisoning, had to be. The symptoms, the seizures, the fever, toxin. But what kind? I got the IV in on the second try. His veins were collapsing. Dehydrated. Shock. I pushed saline. Checked his pupils. Fixed. Dilated. Not responding to light. Bad sign. Very bad. I grabbed the stethoscope. Listened to his heart. Irregular. Or arrhythmic. Missing beats. The toxic stress was tearing him apart from the inside. His shirt was in the way. I grabbed scissors. Cut it off. Froze. His chest was covered in burns. Not fire burns. Chemical burns. Silver nitrate. I'd seen it before. Military applications, crowd control. But these weren't crowd control dosages. These were deliberate. Precise. Applied in patterns. Someone had painted his skin with silver compound and waited for it to react. Silver. The ring hadn't burned me, but silver was burning him. The pieces clicked together. The violet eyes. The strength. The claws. The teeth. The reaction to silver. The tales. The legends. The stories that filtered through the city's underworld. Stories I'd dismissed as fantasy. Vampire. I'd treated stranger things. Fallujah had taught me to stop questioning the impossible and start treating the symptoms. Werewolf. Vampire. Demon. Human. Didn't matter. They all bled. They all died if you didn't stop the bleeding. I checked his mouth. Tongue swollen. Blistered. He'd ingested something. I grabbed the activated charcoal, forced his mouth open, poured it in, massaged his throat, made him swallow, once, twice. He gagged. Good. Gag reflex still present, still fighting. The second seizure hit, worse than the first. His whole body went rigid, spine bowed, head snapped back. I heard something crack, grabbed his jaw, held it steady, couldn't let him break his neck, couldn't let him bite through his tongue. The convulsion lasted 40 seconds, felt like 40 minutes. When it ended, he went completely limp. No breathing, no pulse, no. I tilted his head back, started CPR, 30 compressions, 2 breaths. His ribs felt like they might snap under my palms, didn't matter. Dead ribs were better than a dead child. 30 compressions, 2 breaths, nothing. Again, 30, 2, nothing. Come on, 30, 2, nothing. Come on, kid, don't you quit on me. 30, 2, a flutter, faint. His chest rose, fell, rose again, breathing, shallow. But breathing. Pulse, weak, but there. I sagged against the table. My hands were shaking. Adrenaline crash. I'd been running on fumes for hours. Now the fumes were empty. I wanted to sit, wanted to sleep, wanted to wake up and find out this was a nightmare. The front door exploded. Not opened, not unlocked. Exploded, inward. The hinges tore out of the frame with a shriek of tortured metal. The door hit the floor with a boom that rattled my teeth. Snow blew in. Wind. Darkness. A figure filled the doorway. Tall. Over 6 feet. Broad shoulders made broader by the heavy coat that hung to his knees. The coat was old. Wool. Military cut. But underneath. Underneath I caught the gleam of something else. Metal. Shaped metal. Armor. Medieval armor worn under modern clothes like it was the most natural thing in the world. He stepped inside. The fluorescent lights flickered. Died. The backup generator screamed and gave up. We were plunged into darkness, just for a second, then my eyes adjusted. There was light, coming from him, not glowing, not supernatural, just presence, like he carried his own gravity. His face was hard angles and sharp edges, jaw carved from granite, cheekbones that could cut glass, hair black as midnight, touched with silver at the temples, eyes, God, his eyes, gold, molten gold. Not contacts, not human, the eyes of something that hunted in the dark and never missed. Those eyes found me, found the boy, went wide, the mask cracked. Just for a second, terror, raw, absolute, the kind of fear that unmade men. Then he moved. 1 second he was by the door, the next he was across the room. I didn't see him cross the distance, didn't see him move. He was just there, looming over the table, over the boy, over me. What did you do to him? Not a question, a statement, an accusation. His voice was deep, resonant, the kind of voice that commanded armies, that broke sieges, that made kings kneel. It vibrated in my chest, in my bones. I straightened, met those gold eyes, refused to flinch. I'm saving him. He looked down, saw the IV, the charcoal stains around the boy's mouth, the defibrillator pads I'd placed but hadn't needed yet. His nostrils flared. He was smelling, tasting the air, reading a story I couldn't see, silver and nightshade. His voice was quieter now, colder. Someone who knew exactly how to kill my son just tried to do it. Your son. I kept my voice level, clinical. He needs chelation therapy for the silver, atropine for the nightshade. His heart is in arrhythmia. His core temperature is 104. He had 2 grand mal seizures. I've stabilized him, but he's not out of danger. Whoever did this. They knew his physiology. They knew exactly what dosage would cause maximum damage without immediate death. The gold eyes swung back to me, studying, calculating. I could see the thoughts moving behind them. Who was I? Why was I here? Why was I helping? What did I want? The questions of someone who'd been betrayed too many times to trust easily. Then his gaze dropped to my hands, still resting on the boy's chest. Monitoring his breathing, he saw the ring on the boy's finger, saw my hand touching it, saw my skin, whole, unburned. Something changed in his face. Shock, recognition, confusion. The ring. His voice was barely a whisper. It should have burned you. It burns everyone. Everyone except. He didn't finish. Couldn't finish. The boy. Lucian. His name was Lucian. I'd seen it engraved on the ring when it flared. Lucian started convulsing again. 3rd seizure, the worst one yet. His back arched so severely I heard vertebrae pop. His eyes flew open. All white. No iris, no pupil, just white. The man, the father. Alaric. I didn't know his name yet, but I would learn it. He reached for his son. I slapped his hand away. Don't touch him. My voice cracked like a whip. He's seizing. If you move him wrong, you'll break his spine. Let me work. For a long second, I thought he'd kill me. Just reach out and snap my neck for daring to give him orders. The gold eyes burned. The air around him felt heavy, pressurized, like standing too close to a blast furnace. Then he stepped back, hands raised, surrendering. For the first time in probably centuries, this man was surrendering control to someone else, to me. I grabbed the diazepam, pushed it through the IV. The seizure didn't stop. I'd expected that. Vampire physiology, different metabolism. I doubled the dose, pushed again. The convulsion slowed, weakened, stopped. Lucian went limp, breathing, barely, but breathing. I checked his vitals, heart rate dropping. Good. Fever still high, bad. The silver was still in his system. Chelation. I needed DMSA, dimercaptosuccinic acid, the only thing that would bind to heavy metals and let the body flush them. I had some, not much. Enough, maybe. I grabbed the vial, started drawing up a dose. The father. Alaric. He was watching me, not the boy. Me. Like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve. You know what he is. Another statement, not a question. I know enough. I didn't look up. Focused on the syringe, on getting the air bubbles out, on not thinking about what I was doing, who I was helping, what it meant. You're not afraid. Should I be? Yes. I pushed the DMSA through the IV, watched it flow into the boy's veins. Liquid hope, liquid chance. I was in Fallujah when a suicide bomber walked into my field hospital. I was holding a soldier's intestines inside his body with both hands when the bomb went off. 27 people died. I didn't. I kept holding, kept working, kept that soldier alive until we could get him on a chopper. Fear is just noise. It doesn't help, doesn't save lives. So I don't listen to it anymore. Silence, long, heavy, then, "What's your name?" "Dr. Meredith Ashcroft." Meredith. He said it like he was tasting the word, testing it. "You just saved the crown prince of the Ravencroft bloodline. There will be consequences. For both of us." I finally looked up, met those impossible eyes. "He's 8 years old. He was dying in the snow. I don't care if he's the Prince of Darkness himself. I took an oath. I keep my oaths." Something shifted in Alaric's expression. The hardness softened. Just a fraction, just enough to see the man underneath the monster, the father underneath the Lord. "So do I. Dr. Ashcroft." He glanced toward the shattered door, the blizzard still raging outside. "You cannot stay here. Whoever poisoned Lucian will come back. They'll make sure there are no witnesses, no loose ends. You've become a loose end. I've survived worse than assassins." "Not these assassins." His voice was grim. "Final. This is not a request. This is a military order from someone who has commanded armies for longer than your country has existed. You will come with me. You will be protected, and you will help me find who tried to murder my son." I opened my mouth to argue, to tell him I didn't take orders, not anymore. Not since I left the service. But I looked down at Lucian, at this small broken child who'd been poisoned by someone close enough to know his weaknesses, someone who would absolutely return to finish the job. And I thought about the ring, about how it hadn't burned me, about 300 years of legend shattered in a moment of blue-white light. I thought about honor, about duty, about oaths. Fine. I grabbed my coat, started throwing supplies into my medical bag. Saline, antibiotics, chelation agents, gauze, sutures, everything I might need. I'm coming. But understand this, Lord Ravencroft, or whatever your title is. I don't serve you, I serve him. I pointed at Lucian. My patient, my responsibility. As long as he needs medical care, I give the orders regarding his treatment. You don't touch him. You don't move him. You don't make medical decisions. I do. Clear? Alaric stared at me. I watched calculations run behind his eyes, watched him weigh options, assess threats. He was used to absolute authority, used to obedience, used to fear. I was giving him none of those things. He smiled. It was a terrible smile. All teeth, all danger. But there was something else underneath. Respect, maybe even. Amusement, clear. Dr. Ashcroft, now. We need to move. The enemy knows Lucian is here. They're likely already on their way. How do you know? Because. He moved to the table, gently, carefully, like Lucian was made of spun glass. He scooped his son into his arms, cradled him against his chest. The boy's head lolled, so small, so fragile. Because I would be. He strode toward the shattered door, stopped, looked back. Are you coming, Doctor? I grabbed my bag, followed. Into the blizzard, into the dark, into a world that existed in the cracks between the city's official maps. The vehicle was not a car. It was a fortress on wheels, midnight black, armored panels, windows tinted so dark they looked solid. The engine purred like a caged predator. Alaric laid Lucian across the back seat with the tenderness of a man cradling blown glass. Then he turned to me. Get in. I climbed in. The door shut with a heavy thunk of vault steel. The interior smelled of leather and something older. Incense, maybe. Or just time. Alaric slid behind the wheel. The engine roared. We pulled away from the clinic, from my old life. The snow was a white wall. Visibility, maybe 10 feet. He drove like he could see through it. Probably could. Where are we going? Ravencroft Estate, north, in the mountains, 40 miles. In this weather, 2 hours, maybe 3. I looked at Lucian. His breathing was still shallow, pulse still weak. 2 hours was a lifetime when your patient was this unstable. He won't make it 2 hours without proper monitoring. Then monitor him. There's a full medical kit in the compartment under the seat. I found it, pulled it open. This wasn't a medical kit. This was a mobile surgical unit, portable monitors, ultrasound, defibrillator, medications. I'd only seen in top-tier trauma centers. Some I didn't recognize at all. I got the portable monitor attached to Lucian, watched the numbers. Heart rate 120, down from 140. Good. Blood pressure low but stable. Oxygen saturation climbing. The chelation was working, slowly, but working. Who would poison a child? Someone who wanted to destroy me. Alaric's hands tightened on the wheel. Lucian is my heir, my only child, his mother. His voice caught. Barely. His mother died 4 years ago. Illness, or so I thought. You think she was poisoned too? I didn't then. I do now. We drove in silence. The city fell away. Buildings gave way to trees. The road climbed. An hour passed. Finally, lights, torches mounted on stone pillars. The flames didn't flicker in the wind. Magic. The drive was half a mile long. At the end, the estate, a castle, Gothic architecture, stone walls, towers, battlements. Alaric pulled up to the main entrance. Cut the engine. Before we go in, you need to understand, this is not your world, Doctor. The people inside, they are not human. Some will want you dead simply for knowing we exist. Then why bring me here? Because Lucian trusts you, and because the ring didn't burn you. That means something. He studied me. We'll have answers soon, but first, we get Lucian stable. Agreed? Agreed. The doors opened before we reached them. Huge, oak, bound with iron. Inside was warmth, light, opulence, marble floors, tapestries, chandeliers, and people. Dozens of them, all turning to stare, all with eyes that reflected light wrong. Predator eyes, vampires. I was surrounded by vampires, my lord. A man stepped forward, tall, lean, silver-blonde hair, eyes like steel. He wore tactical gear. Commander Cedric Wolfhart, the prince, is he? Alive, barely. Alaric's voice cracked through the hall. Poisoned. Silver and nightshade. Prepare the medical wing. Send for Dr. Valtieri immediately. And lock down the estate. No one in, no one out. The traitor is among us. We moved through corridors, upstairs. The medical wing. The room was state-of-the-art. Alaric laid Lucian on the hospital bed, stepped back. He's yours, doctor. I got to work. Transferred the monitor leads. Set up a proper IV pole. Drew blood. The numbers were better. Not good, but better. The door opened. A woman entered. Silver hair, dark eyes, intelligent, white coat. Doctor. Isolde Valtieri, 400 years old, looking 40. Lord Alaric. Her voice was cultured. European. I came as quickly as I could. She looked at Lucian. At me. And who is this? The woman who saved my son's life. Dr. Meredith Ashcroft. Isolde crossed to me, held out her hand. I shook it. Her grip was firm, cool. She looked down at our joined hands, at the ring on Lucian's finger. Back at me. You touched the Ravencroft seal. Yes. And it didn't burn you. No, impossible. She circled me. Show me your hands. I held them out. She took them, examined, pressed her thumbs to my wrists. Your pulse. It's... She looked at Alaric. You didn't tell me. Tell you what. She has the old blood. Healer's oath. The treaty line. I haven't seen one in 80 years. They were supposed to be extinct. What does that mean? I pulled my hands back. It means... Isolde moved to a cabinet, pulled out an old book. In 1248, during the Seventh Crusade, Templar Knights made a treaty with vampire lords. The war was decimating both populations. The treaty established neutral healers, humans with specific bloodlines who could treat both vampire and mortal without burning. In exchange, we granted them protection, long life, That's a fairy tale. Most fairy tales are history that's been forgotten. The bloodline was real, but over centuries. They died out, hunted. The last confirmed healer's oath died in 1943. Warsaw Ghetto. My grandmother, I heard myself say, she had a book. Stories about healers who could touch the cursed without harm. Margaret Ashcroft, born 1920. Isolde's eyes widened. Margaret, red hair, green eyes, scar on her left hand. Yes, how do you? I knew her. She saved my life in 1944, France. I was wounded by silver, left for dead. She found me, treated me, refused payment, just did what was right. My grandmother, the woman who taught me to set bones, to stay calm in crisis. She wasn't telling stories, she was passing down a legacy. So, I'm what? Some kind of magical doctor? You're a bridge, Alaric spoke. Between two worlds, the ring recognized you, called to your blood. That's why it didn't burn. I looked at Lucian, small, fighting poison. I thought about the oath, the Hippocratic oath, the healer's oath, whatever that meant. I didn't ask for this. No one asks for their bloodline. Isolde closed the book. But we choose what we do with it. Your grandmother chose to heal. You already made the same choice. The moment you picked Lucian up, you claimed the oath. The door burst open. A man strode in, tall, dark hair, sharp features, expensive suit. His eyes were cold. They swept the room, landed on me, dismissed me, focused on Alaric. My lord, we found something in the human's clinic. His voice dripped contempt. A vial, nightshade extract, hidden in her medical cabinet. My blood went cold. That's impossible. Is it? The man, Lord Thaddeus Grimwood. He produced a small glass bottle, clear liquid. Label in my handwriting. You're a doctor. You have access to toxins. You were alone with the prince for over an hour. Perhaps. He paused. This was not a rescue, but an opportunity. The room erupted. Voices, accusations. Alaric was silent, watching me, testing. I stepped forward, met Thaddeus's gaze. I'm a trauma surgeon, 18 years. I have morphine in my clinic, fentanyl, ketamine. Enough controlled substances to kill 50 people. If I intended harm, I had 100 opportunities. 100 methods cleaner than nightshade. Nightshade is crude, obvious. The choice of someone who wants the poisoning discovered. To send a message. You could be. Furthermore, I cut him off. The nightshade was administered hours before I found the prince. The silver burns. That takes time to penetrate skin. He was poisoned before he ended up in that alley. Whoever did this left him to be found. To implicate someone. Me, a convenient scapegoat. Thaddeus's smile didn't reach his eyes. Clever. But the evidence can be planted. I turned to Alaric. Did anyone see me put it there, or did it just appear after you left with Lucian? After someone knew the prince had been taken to a human doctor? Alaric's expression didn't change. Commander Wolfhart, when was the vial discovered? 20 minutes ago, my lord. After we secured the clinic. And who discovered it? I did. Thaddeus stepped forward. I was conducting a thorough search. How thorough? I pressed. Because if you searched thoroughly, you would have found the inventory logs. I keep meticulous records, every medication, every dose, required by law. If there's nightshade, I didn't record. Someone put it there. Someone who knew enough about medical storage. Someone with access. Who would have such access? Alaric asked. Someone from your world. Someone who knew Lucian would end up at my clinic. Someone who could plant evidence while we raced here. I looked at Thaddeus. Someone who knew exactly where to look. You accuse me? Thaddeus's voice rose. I have served this house for 280 years. And you, a human, a nobody. You dare, I dare. Because I have nothing to lose. You have everything to lose. Motive, opportunity, access, enough. Alaric's voice, not loud, but absolute. Commander Wolfhart, take Lord Grimwood into custody. Protective custody, until we verify his whereabouts, my lord. Thaddeus went pale. You cannot be serious. I believe in evidence. Alaric's tone was ice. You will comply, or I will have you dragged." Cedric moved. Guards appeared. Thaddeus was escorted out, protesting. Alaric turned to me. "That was either very brave or very stupid. It was necessary. Someone tried to kill your son. That same someone is trying to kill me by framing me. I'm not going to stand here and let that happen. And if you're wrong, then you let him go and find the real culprit. That's not justice. That's just convenient." Alaric studied me, then smiled. "You remind me of her. Eleanor, Lucian's mother. She was fierce. She would have liked you." The door opened. An elderly woman, human. She carried a tray. Tea. "Lord Alaric, the council has convened. They request your presence. They have questions. About the human." "Of course they do." Alaric looked at me. "The council. 12 elders. Old, powerful, suspicious. They won't take kindly to a human here, especially one accused of poisoning the air. Then don't leave me to be judged in absentia." I met his eyes. "I'll come. I'll answer their questions. I'll defend myself. I did nothing wrong, and I'm not afraid of old vampires." Isolde laughed. "Oh, I like her." Alaric nodded. "Very well, Dr. Ashcroft. You will address the council, but understand, they are not a court of law. They remember when humans were prey. They will test you, push you. If you show weakness, they will vote to have you executed. Immediately. I've faced worse. Have you?" I looked at Lucian, at the small boy fighting poison, at the monitors showing a heartbeat getting stronger. "Yes, I've faced letting a patient die because I gave up. That's worse. So let's go. Let's find out who really tried to kill your son, because it wasn't me." Alaric extended his arm. Formal. "Shall we?" I took it. We walked together, down corridors, toward the great hall, toward judgment. Behind us, Lucian slept, breathing easier. The numbers climbed, slowly, but climbing. I'd saved him once. I'd save him again, as many times as it took. That was the oath. The great hall doors loomed ahead, 20 feet tall. They opened. I walked in with my head high. I was Dr. Meredith Ashcroft, healer's oath, combat surgeon, survivor. And I was just getting started. The great hall swallowed us whole, vaulted ceilings lost in shadow, stone walls lined with tapestries depicting battles that predated gunpowder. Torches burned in iron sconces. At the far end, on a raised dais, 12 throne-like chairs arranged in a semicircle. 12 figures seated, 12 pairs of eyes watching. The Council of Elders. They were old. Not old like Alaric, old like the stones beneath our feet. Some wore modern clothes, others wore garments from centuries past. Doublets, robes, as if they'd never bothered to update. When you lived forever, fashion meant nothing. Alaric walked beside me. Our footsteps echoed. Mine. His made no sound. We stopped 10 feet from the dais. Alaric stepped slightly ahead. Honored elders, I present Dr. Meredith Ashcroft, the woman who saved Crown Prince Lucian, the woman who bears the blood of the healer's oath, the woman who stands accused of poisoning my son. One of the elders leaned forward. Male, ancient, face like weathered leather, eyes like flint. His voice was dust. Human, in Ravencroft Estate. This has not been permitted in over a century. Times change, Elder Thorne. Alaric's tone was respectful but firm. Lucian lives because of this woman. That is fact. Lord Thaddeus Grimwood claims she is the poisoner. Another elder. Female. Silver hair. Eyes like a hawk. He says evidence was found. Her own supplies. Evidence can be fabricated. I spoke before anyone could silence me. My voice rang clear. I'm a trauma surgeon. 18 years. I know poisons. If I wanted to kill the prince, I wouldn't use nightshade and silver. Too crude. Too obvious. I would have used something clean, something natural. You speak boldly for someone on trial. Thorne's eyes narrowed. For someone who should be begging. I don't beg. I spent 2 years watching my husband die. Cancer and PTSD. I begged then. Begged God, begged fate. No one answered. He died anyway. So I learned. Begging doesn't work. Action does. Evidence does. Truth does. I'm here to prove my innocence and find the real traitor." Murmurs rippled through the hall, vampires in the shadows. Watching. An audience. A jury. The evidence. The hawk-eyed elder. "How do you explain the vial in your clinic?" "Someone planted it. Someone who knew I'd be blamed. Someone with access to both Nightshade and my clinic. Someone who could move fast enough to plant evidence while Lord Alaric and I raced here. Lord Grimwood was securing the crime scene." Thorne's voice was oil. "Are you suggesting our most loyal servant would sabotage his own investigation? I'm suggesting someone smart enough to poison the air would be smart enough to create a scapegoat, would volunteer for the investigation to control what evidence was found. Treasonous accusations." Thorne stood. "You come into our house, accept our protection, and accuse our most trusted advisor. This is beyond arrogance. This is suicidal. This is logic." I didn't back down. Thaddeus found evidence too quickly. Too conveniently. How did he know where to look? How did he know my storage system? How did he find one vial in hundreds unless he knew exactly where he'd placed it? Enough. A new voice. Deeper. Older. From the center throne. A figure I hadn't noticed. He'd been so still. So silent. He rose. Tall. Skeletal. Eyes like dying stars. High Elder Cassius. 900 years old. Accusations fly. Evidence is disputed. We waste time. I propose a different approach. He descended, moved toward me. Each step deliberate. Stopped 3 feet away. The ring did not burn her. Undisputed. Dr. Valtieri confirms the bloodline. Also undisputed. The question is not whether she saved the prince, but whether she poisoned him first, to manufacture heroism, to infiltrate us. That's insane. I kept my voice level. Why would I poison a child I'd never met to gain access to a world I didn't know existed? Human ambition requires no logic. Cassius circled me. "Perhaps you sought immortality, power, wealth. Perhaps you were hired, sent by enemies. I'm a broke doctor with 380,000 in debt. A house about to be foreclosed. If I wanted money, I'd work anywhere else. If I wanted power, I'd have stayed military. I left to heal people, not use them." Pretty words, but words are wind. Cassius stopped. "We require proof. We have methods, old methods, of extracting truth. Vampires who can read thoughts, taste memories, see truth in blood. If you are innocent, you will be exonerated. If guilty, you will die screaming." I felt the room tilt. Blood magic, mind reading, things I'd thought were myth. Alaric stepped between us. "No, you will not touch her. The healer's oath grants immunity from invasive examination. You know this. You wrote the treaty, Cassius. Treaties can be voided. In times of war, times of crisis. We are in both. The prince is poisoned. That supersedes ancient words." "Then let me investigate." I pushed past Alaric. "You want proof? Let me find it. Give me access to Thaddeus's quarters, his records. Let me investigate. If I'm the poisoner, I won't find anything to prove my innocence. But if someone else is responsible, I'll find evidence, real evidence. A human, investigating a vampire lord." Thorne's laugh was contempt. Absurd. A doctor investigating a poisoning. Logical. I'm trained in toxicology, forensics. I've worked crime scenes, military investigations. I know how to find evidence. What's absurd is refusing help because you're too proud to admit a human might see something you missed. Silence. The elders looked at each other. Some kind of silent communication. Finally, Cassius spoke. "Very well. You have until dawn. 6 hours. To prove your innocence. To identify the true poisoner. If you succeed, you will be granted full immunity, recognized as healer's oath, given freedom of the estate. If you fail," his smile was death, "you will submit to blood reading, and if found guilty, you will burn, slowly, publicly. Deal." I said it before thinking. 6 hours to solve a murder attempt, or die. Exactly the kind of pressure I'd thrived under in Fallujah. "Commander Wolfhart." Alaric turned. Escort Dr. Ashcroft wherever she needs to go. Provide access. But do not interfere. This is her investigation." Cedric stepped forward, saluted. "My lord?" "Doctor, this way." I followed, out of the hall, away from watching eyes. We walked through corridors, upstairs. Cedric was silent. Finally I spoke. "You think I did it?" His jaw tightened. "I think. Lucian trusts you. The prince does not trust easily. Has not since his mother died. If he trusts you, that means something. But you're not convinced. I'm a soldier. I trust evidence, not feelings." He looked at me. "But I'll help you find that evidence. Because if you're innocent, someone very dangerous is still walking these halls, and I want them found. Fair enough?" "Where are we going?" "Thaddeus's quarters. East Wing. He's been given a suite there for 200 years, as a reward for service." We reached a door, heavy oak, locked. Cedric produced a key, opened it. I stepped into darkness, found a light switch. The lights came on. The room was opulent, antique furniture, Persian rugs, walls lined with books, shelves of artifacts, weapons, maps, the collection of a man who'd lived multiple lifetimes. I started searching, methodically, systematically. Don't rush, don't miss anything. Look for patterns. I found it in the desk. Third drawer, hidden under false bottom. A ledger, handwritten, columns of numbers, dates, transactions. I flipped through pages, stopped, stared. "Cedric, look at this." He leaned over, read, went very still. "That's proof." I traced the entries. "Stock purchases, shares in the Ravencroft silver mine. Look at the dates, 20 years. Small purchases, incremental. Nothing that would trigger alerts, but add them up." I pointed to a total. 45%. Thaddeus owns 45%. One more share and he'd have controlling interest, which he'd get if Lucian died. "And Alaric." Cedric's voice was ice. "If both died, Thaddeus would be the primary shareholder, could claim the estate, the title, everything. Motive." I closed the ledger, carefully. "Financial, clear. He's been positioning himself for decades. Then he poisoned Lucian, tried to make it look like someone else. But why frame you specifically?" "Because I'm convenient. An outsider. No connections. Easy to blame. Easy to execute. With me dead, no one questions the narrative. We need to show this to Lord Alaric. We need more." I kept searching. "Financial motive is good, but we need proof he actually administered the poison. Need witnesses, physical evidence." I stopped, stared at a shelf, at a small wooden box, ornate, locked. I pointed. "What's that?" Cedric examined it. Locked. Silver lock. Probably trapped. He produced a tool, worked the mechanism, clicked it open, lifted the lid. Inside, vials, dozens. Clear liquid, labels, Latin, Old Latin. Cedric's face went white. "These are poisons. Nightshade, hemlock, monkshood, silver nitrate. Everything used on the prince, and more. Enough to kill hundreds." He kept trophies. I felt sick. This isn't just about Lucian. Cedric picked up a vial, held it to light. "Read the label. Date. Number." His voice broke. "This one. Dated 4 years ago. The same month Lady Eleanor died." Eleanor. Lucian's mother. She died of wasting illness. Sudden. Aggressive. We thought. He set the vial down, hands shaking. "We thought it was natural, but this is the same compound found in Lucian's blood. Thaddeus didn't just try to kill the prince, he succeeded in killing the princess. 4 years ago, which means Lucian." I thought back. Lucian was 4 when his mother died. He was there, he saw something. That's why he stopped talking. Not grief. "Witness to murder. We need to get this to the council." Cedric started gathering evidence. The ledger, the poisons. "Wait," I held up a hand. "Listen." Footsteps. In the corridor. Heavy. Multiple people. Coming closer. "That's not the guards." Cedric's hand went to his blade. "The patrol doesn't come through here for another hour." The footsteps stopped. Outside the door. Silence. Then, a voice. Low. Dangerous. Familiar. "I know you're in there, Thaddeus. We found your evidence, Commander." The voice continued. Very clever. Breaking into my quarters, planting these. He paused. Fabrications. Did you really think the council would believe a human over me? Over 280 years of loyalty? We didn't plant anything, Cedric called back. We found your collection, your ledgers, your confession written in your own hand. Laughter. Cold. Bitter. My confession? Or the story you want to tell? Who do you think they'll believe, Commander? A loyal servant of centuries, or a desperate human and her accomplice grasping at straws? The accomplice who serves Lord Alaric, who has sworn oaths. Oaths can be broken, service can be bought. The door handle rattled. Testing. I'm disappointed, Cedric. I thought you were smarter than this. Thought you'd stay out of it. But you chose the wrong side, the losing side. Alaric will. Alaric will do nothing. Thaddeus's voice was confident, smug. Because Alaric won't know. By the time anyone finds you, it will be too late. The human will be dead. You will be dead. And the evidence, all this carefully planted evidence, it will burn with you. The door handle exploded, not turned, exploded. The lock mechanism shot across the room like shrapnel. The door swung open. Thaddeus stood in the doorway, but not alone. Behind him, 6 vampires, armed, armored, his personal guard, loyal to him, not Alaric. Cedric drew his blade, silver, enchanted, glowing, stepped in front of me. Stand down, Grimwood. This is treason. This is survival. Thaddeus stepped inside. Evolution, the strong replacing the weak. Alaric is weak, soft, infected by humanity. I'm the cure. The guards spread out, flanking, surrounding. We were trapped. The window was the only other exit, 3 stories up. A fall that would kill me, maybe injure Cedric. I grabbed the nearest object. A silver candlestick, heavy, inadequate, but something. Dr. Ashcroft. Thaddeus focused on me. You could have lived, could have taken your payment, disappeared, but you had to investigate, had to question. You should have learned. Nobility is weakness. Honor is a chain. I learned something different. I kept the candlestick ready. I learned some things are worth dying for. How noble. Thaddeus gestured. His guards moved forward. Then die nobly. Kill them both. Make it look like they attacked each other. The human went mad. Killed the commander. Then herself. Tragic. The guards attacked. Cedric met them, blade flashing. He was good. Centuries of combat, but 6 on 1, even for a vampire. The odds were bad. I swung the candlestick, caught one guard in the temple. He staggered, didn't fall, turned on me, grabbed the candlestick, ripped it from my hands, backhanded me. I flew, hit the wall, stars exploded, tasted blood. Cedric was holding 3 off, barely. The other 3 surrounded me. One grabbed my throat, lifted me, squeezed. I couldn't breathe, couldn't scream, clawed at his hands. Useless. His grip was iron. Then, a sound, sharp, piercing. Not a scream, not a shout, a whistle, high-pitched, painful. The guard dropped me, clutched his ears. All of them did, even Thaddeus, even Cedric. But Cedric recovered first. The window shattered. Glass exploded inward. A figure crashed through, small, fast, moving with inhuman speed. Landed between me and the guards, stood up. Lucian, the prince, 8 years old, should have been unconscious in the medical wing, was standing here, eyes blazing violet, hands clenched. The whistle. It had come from him. Some kind of sonic attack. Vampire ability I didn't know about. Get away from her. His voice was small, but filled with rage, with power. She saved me. You don't touch her. Lucian. Thaddeus recovered, surprise flickering across his face. You should be dead. I'm harder to kill than Mother was. Lucian's voice was cold. You taught me that. When you poisoned her. When I watched her die. When you told me it was illness and I should be strong. I was 4. But I remember. I remember everything. The room went silent. Even the guards stopped, stared. The accusation hanging in the air like smoke. Thaddeus's face twisted. You were unconscious, delirious. You couldn't. I remember the tea you gave her. Lucian's voice shook, but he didn't cry. I remember the smell, bitter, like almonds. I remember how she looked at me, how she tried to say goodbye, how she told me to run, to hide, to tell Father. But I was too scared, too small. I hid. I watched. I saw you take the cup, wash it, smile. Then tell Father she'd gotten sick suddenly, that it was too late. The guards were backing away, looking at Thaddeus, questioning, doubting. Thaddeus's composure was cracking. That's the delusion of a traumatized child. Grief, confusion. Your mother died of natural causes. Natural causes don't come in vials labeled with your handwriting. I pushed myself up, pointed to the box, still open. Poison scattered. We found your collection. Every poison, every victim, dated, documented. You kept records, trophies. One of the guards picked up a vial, read the label. His face went pale. Lord Grimwood, this is Lady Eleanor. Her name, the date. Thaddeus lunged, grabbed the vial, crushed it, glass cutting his palm. You understand nothing. She was poison, making Alaric weak, making him care about treaties, about coexistence, about... He spat. Peace. I did what was necessary, what none of you had the strength to do. You killed her. Cedric's voice was disbelief, horror. We mourned with you, trusted you, and you murdered our lady, our princess, your own family. She wasn't family. Thaddeus's eyes were wild, feral. She was human. An infection, and Lucian. He looked at the boy. You're half that infection. Weak, human. You were a mercy killing, a correction. But you survived. You and this doctor. You both survived when you should have died. You both ruined everything, because we're stronger than you thought. I moved beside Lucian, put a hand on his shoulder. We're stronger than you, Thaddeus laughed. Broken, bitter. Stronger? You're mortal. He looked at me, and you. He looked at Lucian. You're a child who couldn't even speak for 4 years. You're not strong, you're lucky, but luck runs out. He moved, fast, desperate. Not toward me, not toward Cedric, toward Lucian. Claws extended, fangs bared, a suicide attack. If he was going down, he'd take the prince with him. I was moving before I thought, before I decided, just moving, training, instinct, protect the patient. I grabbed Lucian, shoved him behind me, felt impact, cold, sharp. Pain exploded across my chest. Thaddeus's claws, tearing through my coat, through my shirt, through skin, through muscle. Down to bone, I fell, legs giving out. Wetness, warmth, blood, so much blood. Thaddeus stood over me, stared at his claws, at my blood, for a second, just a second. He looked almost regretful. Then Cedric was there, blade through Thaddeus's shoulder, driving him back, away from me, away from Lucian. The guards, Thaddeus's own guards, they turned on him, surrounded him, blades drawn, the evidence, the confession, the attack on a child. It was too much, even for loyal soldiers. Lucian was beside me, small hands on my face. Dr. Ashcroft, Meredith, stay awake, please stay awake. His voice was breaking, tears streaming. Father, Father, help. She's dying. I was cold, so cold. The warmth spreading, the pool beneath me. I'd seen this before, in other people. Trauma, blood loss, shock, the body shutting down, footsteps, running, Alaric, his voice, roaring. What happened? Lucian, are you... He stopped. Saw me, saw the blood, his face, terror, anguish. She saved me. Lucian sobbed. Again. She saved me again. Father, do something, please. Alaric was kneeling beside me, hands hovering, not touching, afraid to make it worse. Meredith, stay with me. Isolde. Where is Isolde? We need. Too late. I knew it. Had known the moment Thaddeus's claws hit. Major vessels, internal bleeding, external bleeding. Everywhere. No surgeon, no hospital, no magic could fix this fast enough. I'm sorry, I tried. To protect. Your son. You did. His voice broke. You saved him. Twice. You! He couldn't finish. Tell Lucian. I coughed. tasted copper. Tell him to be strong, to be kind, to stop talking. Alaric's hands were shaking. There's one way, one option. But you have to choose, have to consent. I can turn you, make you vampire. You'd heal, live, but you'd never be human again. Never die, never. Do it. I didn't hesitate, because there was still work to do, still oaths to keep, still a boy who needed a doctor. Do it. Now, are you? I'm sure. I grabbed his hand, squeezed, weak. I'm a soldier, I know. Acceptable losses, I'm not. A loss, use me. Alaric looked at Cedric, at Lucian, at Isolde, who had just arrived. Running. She nodded. Once, permission. This will hurt, Alaric said. Worse than. Fallujah? Much worse. He lowered his head. I'm sorry. I felt the bite, sharp, cold. Then, fire, burning, spreading, rewriting every cell, every nerve, every memory, unmaking me, remaking me. I screamed, couldn't help it. The pain was beyond anything. Then, nothing. Darkness, silence, peace. I woke to golden eyes, to warmth, to a hand holding mine, the medical wing, the monitors, the smell of antiseptic. I was in the bed, the one Lucian had occupied. He's fine. Isolde's voice, from somewhere to my right, healing, asking for you, constantly. I tried to sit up, couldn't. Too weak, too different. Everything felt different, sharper, clearer, wrong, right. I looked at my hands, pale, paler than before. The cracks were gone. The scars were gone. Everything was perfect, inhuman. The transformation is complete. Alaric was still holding my hand. You've been unconscious for 3 days. Your body fought, hard, but your bloodline made you compatible. You're vampire now. One of us. I looked at him, at Isolde. I don't feel dead. You're not. You're transformed, Isolde smiled, and desperately needed. The council has been. Busy. We're rooting out Thaddeus's accomplices, but we need leadership. Medical expertise. What are you saying? We're offering you a position. Alaric squeezed my hand. High healer of Ravencroft. Equal rank to the elders. Salary. Resources. Everything you need. I want. The words came. I want to open a clinic. In the city. Free. For everyone. Human. Vampire. Anyone who needs help. I want to honor the healer's oath. The real oath. Done. Alaric stood. Draw up the papers. Allocate funds. Whatever she needs. The Eleanor Memorial Clinic, I said quietly. Name it. After her. Alaric's eyes glistened. Yes, after her. She'd like that. Footsteps, small, running. The door burst open. Lucian, looking healthier, stronger. Eyes bright violet. He ran to the bed, stopped, shy, then a whisper. You're awake. I am. My voice was different, richer, deeper, but still mine. Hey, kiddo, how are you feeling? Better. He climbed onto the bed, lay beside me, put his head on my shoulder. You saved me. Again. Father said you died to protect him, not died. Changed, but yes, I'd do it again, 1,000 times. Are you? His voice was small. Are you still my doctor? I looked at Alaric. He nodded, smiled. I am. I put my arm around Lucian. I'm your doctor, your friend, your family. If you'll have me, I'll have you. He hugged me. Don't leave, please don't leave. I'm not leaving. I'm stubborn. Ask your father. I don't quit. We spent 3 weeks recovering, training, learning. Alaric taught me vampire abilities, strength, speed, enhanced senses. Isolde taught me vampire medicine, how our bodies worked, how to treat both human and vampire patients. Lucian just stayed close, talking more every day, asking questions, learning, healing. But there was still one piece missing, the trial, the formal trial of Thaddeus Grimwood. The council had postponed it, waiting for me to wake, waiting for the key witnesses to be ready. Now, we were ready. The great hall was packed. Every vampire in the estate, every servant, every guard. Hundreds of witnesses. The council sat on the dais. Cassius in the center, his ancient eyes unreadable. Thaddeus stood in the center of the floor, chained, silver chains, burning his skin wherever they touched. He didn't flinch, didn't cry out, just stood, defiant, proud, unrepentant. Alaric stood beside me, Lucian on my other side, Cedric behind us. Isolde, the core group, united. Lord Thaddeus Grimwood. Cassius's voice filled the hall. You stand accused of high treason, murder, attempted murder, conspiracy, embezzlement. How do you answer? I answer that I served this house faithfully for 280 years. Thaddeus's voice was steady. I gave everything, bled for this family, killed for this family, and I was rewarded with what? A title, a room, the privilege of watching lesser vampires elevated while I remained the servant. So, you decided to take what you felt you were owed, Cassius said flatly. I decided to save this house from its weakened lord. Thaddeus looked at Alaric. You became soft. Eleanor made you care about humans, about peace, about coexistence. She was poison, so I cured you by murdering my wife. Alaric's voice was ice. By poisoning my son, by trying to seize my estate through financial manipulation, by doing what was necessary. Thaddeus's eyes were wild. What none of you had the strength to do. This house needed a strong leader, not a king who kneels to humans, who brings them into our home, who treats them as equals. You're weak, Alaric, and weakness is death in our world. Strength isn't brutality. I spoke. Step forward. Strength is choosing the hard right over the easy wrong. Strength is protecting those weaker than you. Strength is honoring your oaths, even when it costs you everything. You're not strong, Grimwood. You're a coward. Who poisoned a woman because you were too afraid to face her husband? Who attacked a child because you were too weak to compete fairly? Who hid behind centuries of false loyalty because you were too pathetic to earn real respect? The crowd murmured. Agreement? Support. Thaddeus's face twisted. Rage? Hate? You, a mortal who's been vampire for 3 weeks, you dare lecture me about strength? I dare. Because I've proven my strength, you've only proven your treachery. I turned to the council. We have evidence. Financial records showing decades of embezzlement. Thaddeus owns 45% of the Ravencroft silver mine. One more share and he'd have controlling interest. He's been positioning himself to seize the estate for years. Cedric stepped forward, placed the ledger on a table. Here, in his own handwriting. Every transaction, every manipulation. We also have, I continued, a collection of poisons, dozens of vials, each labeled, each dated, including one from 4 years ago, the exact compound used on Lady Eleanor, the exact compound used on Prince Lucian. Isolde placed the box on the table, opened it. The council members descended, examined, read labels, their faces darkened. And finally, I looked at Lucian. We have a witness to Lady Eleanor's murder. Lucian stepped forward, small, but standing tall, shoulders back, head high. He looked at Thaddeus, then at the council. I was 4 years old when my mother died. His voice was clear, strong, louder than I'd ever heard. I was hiding, playing. I heard Uncle Thaddeus. That's what I called him, Uncle. I heard him talking to Mother, offering her tea. She drank it. He paused, breathing hard, remembering. She started coughing, choking. She couldn't breathe. She looked at me, told me to run, to hide, to tell Father. But I was scared. I froze. I watched. I watched Uncle Thaddeus. He didn't help her. He didn't call for help. He just watched, smiled. When she stopped moving, he took the cup, washed it. Then he went to find Father, told him Mother had gotten sick, that she'd died quickly, that it was too late. Tears were streaming down Lucian's face, but he didn't stop, didn't break. I couldn't speak after that. The words, they wouldn't come, every time I tried. I saw Mother, dying, and Uncle, smiling. So I stopped trying until Dr. Ashcroft, until Meredith. She made me feel safe. Safe enough to remember, safe enough to speak, safe enough to tell the truth. He looked at Thaddeus. You killed my mother. You tried to kill me. You tried to kill Meredith, and you would have killed my father. All for money, for power, for nothing, because you're nothing. You were never family. You were just a monster wearing a family's face. The hall was silent, absolute. Every eye on Lucian, on Thaddeus, on the evidence spread before the council. Cassius stood. Lord Grimwood, do you deny these charges? Thaddeus looked at the evidence, at Lucian, at the assembled witnesses, at the council members examining his ledgers, his poison collection, his confession written in his own meticulous hand. He laughed, broken, bitter, mad. Deny? Why would I deny? He spread his arms, chains rattling. I'm proud. Proud of what I did, proud of what I tried to do. Eleanor was making Alaric weak. Lucian was half-human filth. The doctor, he looked at me, was a convenient scapegoat. And all of you are too blind to see. This house is dying, rotting from within, and I was trying to save it, to cut out the infection, to restore the old ways, the strong ways. When vampires ruled and humans served, when we were predators. Not, he spat. Diplomats. Then you confess, Cassius said. To all charges, I confess to having vision, to having strength, to having the will to do what none of you would. If that's a crime, then yes, I confess. Thaddeus lifted his chin, defiant to the end. Do what you will. Exile me. Execute me. It doesn't matter, because I'm right. And history will prove it. This house will fall. Alaric will die. And everything I tried to prevent will come to pass. Mark my words. The council members returned to their seats, conferred in whispers, Latin, Old Latin. Finally, Cassius stood. Lord Thaddeus Grimwood, by unanimous decision of this council, by the authority granted to us by 6 centuries of law, by the evidence presented and your own confession, we find you guilty of high treason, of murdering Lady Eleanor Ravencroft, of the attempted murder of Crown Prince Lucian Ravencroft, of conspiracy, of embezzlement, of betraying every oath you swore. The sentence, Cassius's voice was iron, is death, immediate, permanent, to be carried out by. He paused, looked at Alaric, the injured parties. Alaric descended from the dais, walked toward Thaddeus, stopped 3 feet away. The hall held its breath. You served my father. Alaric's voice was quiet, served him faithfully, earned his trust. When he died, I kept you on because he trusted you, because I thought loyalty should be rewarded. I gave you authority, resources, access to my family, to my home, to my son, and you. You betrayed everything, killed my wife, tried to kill my son, tried to destroy everything I've built, everything I've tried to become. He stepped closer. You said I'm weak, that Eleanor made me soft. You're wrong. Eleanor made me better. She showed me that strength isn't just power, it's compassion. It's choosing to build bridges instead of walls. It's protecting the vulnerable instead of exploiting them. She showed me how to be not just a lord, but a father, a husband, a leader worth following. Alaric's eyes burned. And you took her from me, took 4 years of my son's voice, took his childhood, his innocence, his trust, for money, for ambition, for pride. He turned, walked back toward me, toward Lucian, stood with us, united, Commander Wolfheart. Carry out the sentence. Cedric stepped forward, drew his blade, but before he could act, wait, I moved forward. There's one more piece, one more truth that needs to be told. I walked to the evidence table, sorted through the poison box, found what I was looking for, a small envelope, sealed, old. I'd found it earlier, tucked beneath the false bottom. Hadn't opened it, had been waiting for this moment. When we searched Thaddeus's quarters, we found this. I held up the envelope, hidden, sealed, addressed to Prince Lucian. Alaric's eyes widened. What is it, I think? I looked at Lucian. I think it's from your mother. The hall erupted. Whispers, questions. Lucian's face. Hope, fear, wonder, warring. May I? Lucian's voice was small. May I read it? Of course. I handed him the envelope. It's yours. Lucian's hands shook as he opened it, pulled out a single sheet of paper, old parchment, elegant handwriting. He read silently, tears falling. Then he looked up. Can I read it aloud? Alaric nodded. Voice would not come. Lucian cleared his throat. Read, his voice breaking, but steady. My dearest Lucian, if you are reading this, then I am gone, and you are old enough to understand. I suspected Lord Grimwood was planning something, saw the way he looked at your father, at you, at me, the resentment, the ambition. I took precautions, wrote this letter, hid it where only a thorough investigation would find it. If I am wrong, if I die of natural causes, then this letter is needless worry. But if I am right, if Grimwood poisons me, then you need to know it was not your fault. You could not have stopped it, and I do not want you to spend your life seeking revenge. Lucian paused, wiped his eyes, continued. I want you to know that I loved you, love you, will always love you, even from whatever comes after. I want you to know that your father is a good man, a strong man, not because he is powerful, but because he is kind, because he tries to do what is right, even when it is hard. I want you to be like him, to be strong and kind, to protect the weak, to build instead of destroy. And I want you to know that being half human is not a weakness. It is a strength. You have the best of both worlds, the power of vampire, the compassion of human, the ability to walk between, to understand both, to unite both. That is your gift, your purpose, your destiny. Do not let Grimwood's hatred poison you. Do not become what he feared. Prove him wrong. Be the prince, the king, that he could never understand, a king who rules with both strength and mercy, a king who is loved, not feared. The letter was signed, Your loving mother. Eleanor, below the signature, a postscript. P.S. If someone saved you when you needed it most, if someone showed you kindness when the world was dark, hold on to them. They are rare. They are precious. They are proof that not all stories end in tragedy. Some end in hope. Lucian finished, looked up, looked at me. She knew, somehow. She knew you would come, or she hoped, I said softly. Hoped that when darkness came, there would still be light, still be someone who would do the right thing, just because it was right. Alaric took the letter, read it himself, his hands trembling, his eyes wet. He folded it carefully, handed it back to Lucian. Your mother, he cleared his throat, was the wisest person I ever knew. And she was right. About everything. About Grimwood. About you. About... He looked at me. About hope. He turned to face Thaddeus, who had been watching, listening, his expression unreadable. You heard her. Alaric's voice was steel. You heard what you tried to destroy. Not just a woman, not just a princess, but wisdom, compassion, the future. You failed. She's gone. But her words remain. Her son remains. Her legacy remains. You took her life. But you couldn't take what she stood for, what she taught us. And that is your true failure. He nodded to Cedric. Now, carry out the sentence. Cedric raised his blade. Thaddeus closed his eyes, accepting, finally, the consequences. Wait, a voice, not mine, not Alaric's, Lucian's. The prince stepped forward, small, 8 years old, but somehow taller than anyone in the room. Lord Grimwood, Lucian's voice was clear. You killed my mother. You tried to kill me. You tried to kill Meredith, by all rights. I should want you dead, should want you to suffer, should want revenge. But he took a breath. My mother taught me that revenge is poison, that hatred destroys the hater, that the only way to win is to be better than those who hurt you. So I'm going to be better than you. He looked at the council. I ask that Lord Grimwood be exiled, not executed. Exiled, stripped of rank, of name, of territory, cast out, alone, to live with what he's done, to see the world change, to see the house he tried to destroy, flourish, to know he failed. That would be justice. And mercy, the two things he never understood. The hall was silent, stunned. Alaric was staring at his son, pride and grief and love warring on his face. Cassius stood. Prince Lucian, your request is unusual. The crime is high treason. The punishment is death. I know. Lucian didn't back down. But mercy is what separates us from monsters. From him. He pointed at Thaddeus. If we become as brutal as our enemies, then what are we fighting for? If we can't show mercy when we have the power, then we're no better than he is. Elder Thorne stood. The prince is right. His voice was grudging, reluctant but honest. Exile is the old punishment, the traditional punishment, before we became civilized. It is arguably worse than death. To be cast out, to be alone, to be nothing, that is a living death. The other elders nodded, conferred. Finally, Cassius spoke. Very well. By the mercy of Prince Lucian, by the wisdom of tradition, the sentence is changed. Exile, permanent, irrevocable. Lord Thaddeus Grimwood, you are stripped of all titles, all property, all rights. You are cast out from the Ravencroft bloodline. From all vampire society, you will be marked. So all will know you. You will be hunted. If you attempt to return, if you attempt to harm this family, if you are seen within 100 miles of this estate, you will be killed, on sight, without trial, without mercy. Do you understand? Thaddeus opened his eyes, looked at Lucian. Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, respect, regret, then gone. I understand. His voice was empty, defeated. Exile me, I'll survive. I always do. No, Alaric stepped forward. You'll exist, but you won't live. Because living requires connection, requires purpose, requires something beyond yourself. You'll be alone, forever. That's your punishment. That's your mercy. Guards moved forward, unshackled Thaddeus, dragged him toward the door. He didn't resist, didn't fight, just went. A broken man, his defiance gone, his pride shattered as he reached the door. He looked back, one last time, at Alaric, at Lucian, at me. You were right, he said, voice barely audible. About mercy, about strength. I thought I was saving this house, but I was just afraid of change, afraid of losing relevance, afraid of being forgotten. And in my fear, I became the thing I feared most. Nothing. Then he was gone, into the night, into exile, into the long, lonely dark. The hall remained silent. Then, slowly, applause, starting from the back, building, spreading. Not for Thaddeus's sentence, but for Lucian, for his courage, his mercy, his wisdom beyond his years. Alaric knelt, eye level with his son, pulled him into a hug. Your mother would be so proud. I'm so proud. Lucian hugged back. Tight. I just did what she would have done. You did. Alaric stood, looked at me. And you, Dr. Ashcroft, Meredith, you gave him back his voice, his courage, his future. I owe you everything. You owe me nothing. I moved closer. I'm just honoring the oath, the real oath, to heal, to protect, to serve, then serve with me. Alaric extended his hand, not as my subject, as my equal, as High Healer of Ravencroft, as Lucian's guardian, as, he paused, as family. I took his hand. Family, I can do that. The crowd erupted, cheering, celebrating. Justice served, mercy shown, the house healing 1 year later. The Eleanor Memorial Clinic stood in the heart of Manhattan, 3 stories, modern, clean, gleaming. The sign above the door glowed softly, welcoming. Inside, 30 examination rooms, 2 surgical suites, pharmacy, laboratory, imaging, everything, state of the art, and completely free. We saw 2,000 patients a month. Human, vampire, werewolf. Things I'd learned existed. Things I now treated routinely. Broken bones, poisonings, curses, infections. We treated it all. I stood in my office, looking out over the city. The sun was setting. I could watch sunsets now, carefully. With protection, but I could watch them. Alaric's blood was old, pure, strong. It granted me tolerances, daylight, sunlight. Most of it was myth anyway, but some was real. I'd learned, adapted, survived. A knock. The door opened. Lucian, 9 years old now, taller, stronger, confident. He wore a white coat, child-sized, custom-made. He was learning, studying, medicine, history, languages, combat, leadership, everything a prince needed, everything a healer needed. Dr. Ashcroft. He grinned. We have a situation in exam 3. Werewolf. Silver poisoning. Chelation indicated correct. I grabbed my tablet. Standard dose. You want to try the IV placement? Really? His eyes went wide. You'll let me? I'll supervise. But yes, you're ready. I ruffled his hair. He'd started talking regularly 6 months after I woke. Full sentences, full personality, bright, curious, kind. Elena would have been proud. I was proud. We walked together through the halls, past examination rooms, past staff, human and vampire working side by side, the way it should be. Alaric was in the waiting room. He came by every evening, officially to check on Lucian, unofficially. We had an understanding, a partnership, not romantic, not yet, maybe never, but deep, built on trust, on respect, on shared purpose. We led together, ruled together, healed together. How's the patient load? He fell into step beside me. Manageable. We're going to need to expand, open a second location, maybe Queens. Large werewolf population there. Underserved. I'll allocate funds. Whatever you need. He paused. The council approved your proposal. Educational initiative. We'll be sending vampire healers to human medical schools. Cultural exchange. Building bridges. Progress. I smiled. Actual progress. Because of you. He stopped. Made me look at him. You changed everything, Meredith. Not just this house. The whole system. You showed us that strength isn't just power. It's compassion. It's choosing the hard right over the easy wrong. It's honor. I learned that from someone else. I thought of my grandmother, of my husband, of the soldiers I'd served with, of Alaric, of Lucian, of everyone who taught me what it meant to keep going. We're all just carrying forward the lessons we've been given. In the treatment room, Lucian was prepping the IV, talking to the werewolf patient, a young man, scared, poisoned by silver-laced bullets. Hate crime. But here, he was safe. He was cared for. He was healed. I watched Lucian work, insert the IV on the first try, smile when the patient thanked him, become what he was meant to be, healer, leader, bridge, 1 year. So much had changed. Thaddeus was gone, cast out, alone. The last report placed him in Eastern Europe, wandering, surviving, but not living, just as Alaric predicted. The estate was healing. 4 elders had been removed. Thaddeus's accomplices, rooted out, tried, exiled or executed depending on the severity of their crimes. New elders appointed, younger, more progressive, more willing to embrace change. The laws were changing. Slowly. Treaties with human governments. Slowly, but changing. The old ways, the hunting, the hiding, the fear, fading, being replaced by what? Understanding. Maybe. Coexistence. Hopefully. Peace. Eventually. And me. I died once, in the snow, saving a child, and been reborn, stronger, not because of the transformation, but because I'd proven to myself what I'd always suspected, always hoped. I didn't need to be immortal to matter. I just needed to show up, do the work, Keep the oath. Everything else, the power, the status, the legacy, that was just bonus. The werewolf patient left, healed, grateful. Lucian cleaned up, organized. He looked at me, smiled. That smile that made everything worth it. Same time tomorrow, Dr. Ashcroft? Same time tomorrow, Dr. Ravencroft? He laughed, left. Alaric offered his arm. Shall we go home? I took it. Yes, let's go home. We walked out together, into the night, into the city, into a world that was slowly, painfully, learning to heal, learning that the old divisions didn't matter as much as the choices we made, the oaths we kept, the people we protected. The snow was falling again, soft, gentle, peaceful. Not the blizzard that had hidden a dying prince, just snow. Beautiful. I lifted my face to it, felt the flakes melt on my skin, smiled. Because I was here, still fighting, still healing, still honoring the oath my grandmother passed down. First, do no harm. Then, do everything you can, and never, ever, quit. That was the lesson, the truth, the story. Dr. Meredith Ashcroft, combat surgeon, vampire, healer. I'd lived 2 lives, the one before the snow and the one after. Both had taught me the same thing. Honor isn't something you're born with. It's something you earn. Through action, through choice, through sacrifice. I'd thought I was just a broke doctor, a widow, a failure. But when I chose to pick up a dying child, when I chose to fight for truth, when I chose to die protecting someone I barely knew, I became something more, not stronger, not better, just true. Lord Alaric Ravencroft learned that in 650 years, the greatest legacy isn't power or wealth or territory. It's the people you choose to trust, the family you build, not from blood, but from choice. He'd lost his wife because he trusted wrong. He'd saved his son because he dared to trust right. And Prince Lucian learned what his mother tried to teach him, that strength without compassion is violence. Power without purpose is tyranny. But compassion backed by courage, purpose backed by action, that's justice, that's leadership, that's the future. Because sometimes, the person society writes off, a 42-year-old doctor drowning in debt, is exactly who's needed to save a kingdom, to change a world, to prove that age is just a number. Experience is a weapon, and the greatest battles are won not by the young and reckless, but by the tested and true. The snow fell, the city slept. And we walked home together, a family, built not from blood or fate, but from choice, from honor, from the simple radical belief that some things, some people, are worth fighting for, worth dying for, worth living for. The oath was kept, the promise fulfilled, the story complete. And if you're listening, if you're wondering whether one person can make a difference, whether it's too late, whether your best days are behind you, let me tell you something I learned in the snow, in the war, in the darkest moment of my life. It's never too late. You're never too old. Your past doesn't define your future. Your scars don't limit your strength. You just have to show up. Do the work. Keep the oath. Everything else will follow. Now, go. Be brave. Be kind. Be honorable. The world needs you. And remember, when they say you can't, when they say you're finished, when they say your time has passed, prove them wrong, just like I did, just like you can, always.